welcome from Chattanooga, Tennessee on this chilly December day as we launch into our final FCCI webinar of 2025 with an excellent guest and topic to round out what's been a great year of webinars. I'm thrilled that we have Todd Hopkins who will be joining us shortly to dig into this construct of busyness versus productivity. And I know that you're going to leave with some very practical strategies from this webinar, things that you can deploy both in your personal life, I think that we all probably need, desperately need, and also for the sake of your business operations and your team health. So before I bring Todd on, let me make sure that you're aware of a few opportunities that are coming down the pike for us here at FCCI. Things that you want to keep top of mind. And by the way, as we're launching into this, let me say Merry Christmas to all of you. Thanks for taking a few moments to be with us during this busy Christmas season. Well, on March 23rd through 25th, FCCI is excited to be hosting another Kingdom Business Leadership Summit at Purcell Farms in Sylacauga, Alabama. I hope that you will make plans now to participate in this leadership transforming experience with other high-capacity Kingdom leaders from around the country. This event really does bring in some top-quality leadership experts, those who are proven practitioners in the field. They would come together for several days, hands-on leadership development, Kingdom prioritized, relationally focused environment. It's absolutely beautiful. It's one of the premium locations in the Southeast. If you enjoy sporting clays, golf, just enjoy being out in God's beauty, you don't want to miss this. March 23rd through 25th at Purcell Farms. Another great opportunity that we want to make sure is definitely top of mind for you is Banded. And for those of you that are looking to reach, just kind of go to that next level, personal, professional achievement in 2026, you really need to lock in on Banded. You go over to joinbanded.com and you can learn more about our local monthly groups, our upcoming online Zoom groups, the experiential retreat experiences that are happening around the country throughout the year. There's so much more. And it's all geared to provide you with a holistic development of your calling, both in life, in leadership. How do we do things in a godly way through our business? Banded is continuing to just expand. We're moving into new cities around the country. So please reach out to our team through joinbanded.com to learn more and take advantage of this incredible opportunity. And if you would, even now, take a moment and introduce yourself, if you would, please, in the chat. And drop your name, business role, business information in the chat window so we can get to know each other. We do want this webinar series to serve as a means for continued Kingdom growth and influence. So as we go along, if you would also use that chat to drop any questions, comments for Todd. We'll have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end, and we'd love to have you contributing to this collective experience here today during our webinar. Well, today's conversation really fits beautifully into our FCCI's 5-stage transformative journey. And as we consider how to move our team's mindset to more of that of productivity instead of maybe forming excuses around busyness, helping our teams establish correct prioritization, making those intentional, healthy contributions to business success. So really, we're centering around this positioning for excellence in the 5-stage journey today as we dig into this conversation with Todd. So let me introduce Todd Hopkins to you. Todd is the founder and CEO of Strategic Thinking Network. It's an organization that's dedicated to teaching business owners and entrepreneurs to think strategically about how to scale their business and impact in a way that is grounded in biblical principles. So Todd is the founder and executive chairman of Office Pride Commercial Cleaning Services. He serves as the CEO for 30 years, leading that organization to become an award-winning janitorial franchising company, one of the most respected brands in that industry. Office Pride has over 150 franchise locations in 28 states, and it's a longtime member of the Franchise Business Review Hall of Fame for franchise satisfaction. Todd's an international best-selling author, co-author of 5 books, one of those being The Janitor, How an Unexpected Friendship Transformed a CEO and His Company. That book has sold over 600,000 copies. It's been published in 10 languages. Take advantage of that. Todd is a business graduate of the University of Memphis, an MBA from Butler, Office Pride actually began as an MBA class research paper there at Butler. You'll hear more about that. And he is a graduate of the MIT Birthing of Giants Executive Leadership Program. Todd and his wife Michelle live in Palm Harbor, Florida, and have 3 sons and 2 grandsons. So, Todd, welcome. It's so great to have you here with us. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Ken, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys. Um, Hey, do you want me to jump in or a
Well,
little chat?
let's do a little icebreaker here. Tell us a little bit about Christmas. We got Christmas around the corner. Anything special or unique about Christmas season for you guys this year?
Well, I'll tell you, what's unique is we have a cat and we
Oh,
have 2
that
Christmas
changes the
trees.
dynamic.
And that changed it. We had a cat last year and that cat was fine, but now we have a second cat and that cat loves climbing the Christmas tree. So now we don't have tree toppers. Um, Suddenly there's big gaps. We have to unplug it before we leave the house because we don't want something to go wrong. So we have a interesting dynamic happening this year, but it's a
Good
rescue
times.
cat. We like it, so we'll make it work.
Adding to the busyness of the Christmas season is maybe even a little chaos. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, Todd, as we jump in, and I'll let you just take it and run with it. I know you've got some great content for us here today, but obviously even the etymology of the word business is busyness, right? When you think of that, where does that word even come from? As we do business, it's busy, but I'm thankful that we're going to focus a little bit more today around how do we transform that and maybe change that. In fact, you even kind of got rid of that word, didn't you, in your organization?
Oh, I did. I'll share that. But I mean, busy is a bad thing. I mean, it's a well, and now that we're in front of like these Christian business owners. I mean, busyness is a strategy that Satan has used effectively for centuries to keep us from being who God created us to be. And it certainly is the enemy of productive business. So I think we'll dive into that just a little bit. But
Sounds great.
there's a lot of commonalities between being who God created us to be and achieving our business goals. And busyness is the enemy of both.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I will turn it over to you, Todd. Thanks so much for being here and providing us with this great information.
Well, thanks for having me, Ken. Hey guys, I just want to start by sharing with you that I checked out the FCCI website, and man, I love everything the FCCI stands for. I love the global movement of business leaders wanting to lead companies for Christ. The idea of transforming business through faith, leading with purpose, standing up for your calling, maximizing kingdom impact. I mean, this is the things that I've tried to do, to the best of my ability. I'm a flawed person, so plenty of mistakes, but I love what you guys are doing. So we're going to speak some common language today, I'm sure. And like Ken said, just to give you guys a little background on me, I tried to do this with Office Pride. And it started as a college research paper, and there I got a chance to create a business plan as part of the MBA program, and it was actually got 3 class credits for, and so I got credit in college and actually started the business. So that was being productive. And there I am. There's a picture. This would be in the 90s. I was probably 24, 25 years old, ready to conquer the world with Office Pride. I was all about branding. I never like this is my whole fleet. I'm ready to go out and sell and pick up all these janitorial contracts. I have my pager fully visible. And so, which some of you guys may remember what a pager is, but I was all about branding, and I wanted to do this business God's way. I wanted to honor Him from the beginning, and I really, when I thought I'd arrived, was when I had my first coffee mug with the Office Pride logo on it. Had to order 144 of them to get the logo, but I started giving those things away. But in the mornings, I would sit and I would drink a cup of coffee and I would spend my quiet time with God. And I tell people that if you have Almighty God and a good hot cup of coffee, you can solve a lot of business problems and you can also plan a lot of opportunity and strategy. I even put logo on cleaning chemicals. So we had chemicals. So I was putting the logo everywhere. I was trying to create this brand that people would want to duplicate, and they would want to buy a franchise and be a part of this system. But it was interesting when the secular commercial cleaning magazine decided to do a story about us. And it was interesting to me to see what they were going to choose because they do the interviews and they talk to a lot of people. And I was thinking they might, jump on systems and processes. We were growing like crazy. And here they chose faith and franchising. And it's even a secular magazine. We're talking about the secret sauce was the faith. And we were just trying to like be who God created us to be. Franchisees were attracted to that. We would teach biblical principles on how to operate a business. Prayer was a big part of our system. So here's one of our conferences. One of the leaders had brought his family, and this girl's grown now, but we were praying, and even as I transitioned out in 2021, we've prayed the new CEO in. So it's just it's okay. Like if if you say, I want to honor God with the business, and I'm here to tell you, like, we leave nothing on the table when we choose to follow God with our business. In fact, I would even submit that when we try to do things in our own strength, because we're typically high achieving entrepreneurs, we're actually leaving things on the table. It's like God's plan is bigger than we can think or imagine. And I never received any pushback from, putting our faith out there and trying to be that. And we even had brochures before I even knew what persona marketing was. We had brochures for all the different types of buildings we would clean, and this was one for the churches. We would say we can't cleanse the soul, but we can clean your buildings. And I had one originally that kind of got dinged. It said, "Let um, uh, office pride, Jesus wipe away the sin, and office pride will wipe away the dirt." But we end up going with this one. So we've had a lot of fun with it over the years, and but we were very serious. It all kind of came together with the retreat. So we would have a franchise owners retreat, and it would be like a big fellowship. It would be we would have worship there. I don't know if any of you guys recognize the guy in the middle in the black shirt. That's Phil Wickham, but we actually had him in one time at one of our retreats, and he actually led worship. And I remember him getting up and saying, "Hey, this is my first corporate gig." And so it was a new thing for him, but he said our core values and his core values matched. And we had a chance to interview him the next morning, and he shared some of his testimony and his story and the things that he learned. And so I always wanted to bring our franchisees the people that I loved, like he was my favorite. And we had other good ones over the years too, Brandon Heath and Josh Baldwin. We had Pastor Tony Evans speak, Dr. Bill Thrasher from Moody. So many wonderful people over the years. And actually, one year we even had a baptism because there were some couple of couples that led another franchisee to the Lord after we had a Christian comedian speak at our banquet. And they come up and say, "Hey, can we get baptized in the morning during our devotion time?" And so everybody met at the Holiday Inn swimming pool, and there was a baptism. Now, this is like a corporate event. So I just want to share this with you, that there are some things that's possible, definitely more possible in a franchising world because we're with business owners. They weren't employees, they were business owners, but a lot of amazing things happened. We had a lot of great business speakers over the years, like Vern Harnish, but we also had fun. I mean, here's a bunch of franchisees on a trolley. We were going, I can't even remember where they were going. And then, of course, you really can get excited when you start to see the brand show up as a business suit. But this was at a banquet. We would go to Indy 500 every year, a bunch of seats there. We would have a big party there every year, but ultimately, we have these 7 guiding principles on how to operate a business. And on number 1, we maintain an eternal perspective on all we do. So always try to keep things in perspective, like what really matters. And then we had like number 2, to be profitable and sustainable in the long term. We have to make good decisions where we can't help people for long if we're not profitable. And then we honor our word, and it goes on down to even solving disputes in a way that honor and glorifies God. So these were just a little bit of the background of Office Pride, and God blessed us over the years with a lot of wonderful people. And I have now transitioned out of that into a new thing. It's like I feel like God was calling me to something new, and I stepped into it. It's called the Strategic Thinking Network. And so what this is, it's quarterly workshops, 1 day workshops, where people come together as a group and they go through this together, 2 year program, and they come to Tampa for 1 day each quarter, and we teach them how to think strategically on how to scale their business and their kingdom impact. So everything is faith based. Uh, they go through this teaching and tools together, break up into groups, and so it really is an amazing network. The cool thing is we don't compete with anybody. This is like value add. So even people who are part of other organizations or peer groups or whatever are coming here for just added layer of education and depth when it comes to scaling a business by kingdom principles. And so God's blessed us with a lot of wonderful people that come from really all around the country for this. And we had our first class was started in January of 2025. We have a new group that'll start in January of 2026. And we still have fun. So we're still going to the race now with the Strategic Thinking Network. And so it's a lot of fun. I tell people that 30 plus years at Office Pride was like a training ground for this, because it's like, everybody in this room, they're high achievers or business leaders. There's some even ministry leaders that are in this group. And so we're coming together and we're helping to try to tap into what's God's plan for us. What was his original intent when he created us? Because I think when we get in alignment with that is where we can start to pursue the immeasurably more. And so we get into all this. We talk about strategic, not just strategic thinking, and there's a place for critical thinking. And I thought, man, if we could create a system where could teach business owners how to be good at both, they could achieve next level results. But I was reminded in my quiet time, I was doing this, and I was reminded of what somebody told me one time. They said, what if you didn't get up from your quiet time until God dismissed you? And it was during my quiet time of working on this program, strategic thinking and critical thinking, that God said, wait, don't get up. There's a third type of thinking. And he said, and he took me back to all my years with that coffee cup in the morning in my quiet time, trying to build a company like Office Pride. And he said, Todd, you can't leave out eternal thinking. And so now we're asking questions beyond just goals and actions. For strategic, critical is when we look at data, trends, we challenge assumptions. But eternal thinking is when we start to ask things like, what is it God wants? What's his will in this matter? What has eternal significance? What was his original intent for me when he knitted me together in my mother's womb? All these things. And then it's like when we can combine strategic, critical, and eternal, that's where all of a sudden we can open ourselves up to supernatural results. So I just want to suggest that when we really try to pursue and seek and discover what it is God wants to do through us, then it's going to be more than we think or imagine. So now I want to just jump into. I just want to give you a little background there. I'm really excited to be here, but let's get into the teaching. So here on Stop Using the B Word, this is something I'm pretty passionate about, and I'll give you the backstory. But basically, as a franchisor, this is how it started. When you're a franchisor, prospective franchisees, they'll come in and they'll spend a day with us. We call it Discovery Day. And this is where they can ask questions and we can get to know them. And it's kind of the final thing that you do before we approve them as a franchisee and they make a decision that they want to become part of our brand. And so it would always kind of start and end with me. And when they came after meeting with the team all day, they would come into my office and almost without fail, they would say, okay, I'd say, do you have any questions? And they go, well, what's the difference between a successful franchisee and one who's not so successful? And I remember in the early going, I would think that's like this, they're looking for a silver bullet to success. And I would think there are no silver bullets. I mean, there's like 100 different things you have to be good at and ultimately to be successful. And you have to execute. But I started thinking about this more. And the more I thought about it, the more I decided that, that really is one of the best questions. Like, what's the difference between a successful franchisee or a successful business owner and one that's not so successful? So I started paying attention because I thought if I could figure this out, this would be huge for our franchisees, it'd be huge for our entire system. And as I started to pay attention, I noticed something. And I noticed there was a big difference between the franchisees who were really successful and the ones who were not as successful. And I also noticed this even in other businesses that I would coach or mentor in ministry. So, and here's what I noticed. Those who were successful were disciplined to do those things that were required to succeed, while those who were not so successful had a tendency to get distracted. And it's like they knew they were getting distracted. I could ask them, well, why didn't you achieve your goals? And they go, oh, I just had this happen and this happen and this happen. And next thing I know, the year was over. I didn't hit my goals. And they say, and they even knew they were distracted. And they say, I'm trying my best to stay focused on the goals. And I'm here to submit that I don't believe willpower alone is enough. If you really want to be successful, if you want to have the discipline to do what's required to succeed, then you must have a system of distraction control. So I decided I'm going to create this system of distraction control. And if I could teach that to the franchisees, then everybody wins. So I started doing this and I started looking, what are all the distractions and what distractions do I have in my own life? And as I looked around, the number one distraction that I saw was busyness. It's like everybody's always busy. And you would say, why didn't you hit your goals? Well, I was just too busy. I had this going on. Everybody seemed to be so busy all the time. And I hear this word, it drives me crazy. And hopefully by the time this is over, it'll drive you crazy. So I started diving into this a lot more. I mean, let me just ask you, I mean, have you ever felt like you were busy all day and didn't get a single thing done? I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that. Are you too busy like to help your neighbor or invest quality time with your spouse and kids? I had one person tell me one time they were too busy to sleep. And I told them, I said, this is not sustainable. Are you too busy to get your most important things done or even to go to church anymore? What about set and right goals? I, it amazes me how many people will set goals. They'll invest in a business, set goals, and they'll bust their butts 300 plus days a year trying to achieve them. And they won't stop and take 2 or 3 hours to think strategically about how to do it most effectively and efficiently. There are some people who are too busy to even think about like investigate their purpose in life. It's like, well, what is life all about? I'm too busy to think about that right now. So that's where we want to be careful. But could you imagine a life without ever really being busy? I mean, stress goes down, productivity goes up, relationships improve, you become a better worker. I mean, everybody wins. This is a good thing. So let me tell you my story as it relates to this. So it's like years ago, I made a decision, and part of this is probably faith driven, but I made a decision that I want my life to count. It's like, I don't want to live my life and realize I've wasted it. I want my life to count. I want to make a difference. And and also I have people that are dependent on me to lead well, right? So at the time I had all these franchisees, had corporate staff, and so people were counting on me to make good decisions to be productive. And I remember going home one day and my wife, Michelle, asked me this innocent little question. She said, "Oh, how was your day? How was your day today?" And I let it slip out because I had been frustrated all day. It had been kind of one of those days, not a great day at the office. And I just said, man, I felt like I was busy all day and didn't get a single thing done. And I'll never forget how she looked at me. It's like she was not impressed. I mean, like one of my main things I want to do is impress my wife, and she was not impressed by that. I mean, she didn't say anything, but she gave me that look. It's like, you mean to tell me you were gone all day and now you come back and say you didn't get anything done? And it was in that moment that I made a decision that I wasn't ever going to label myself as being busy again. Because I realized that when I leave my home, when I leave my family, and I go off to work or to run the business or whatever it is I'm going to do, I owe it to my family to have advanced us in some way before I return, not to have been so busy that I didn't get a single thing done. And so I made a decision that day that I was going to stop using the B word. And what that looks like, by the way, is I'm going to start replacing the word busy with the word productive. So now, like if I get home and my wife says, how was your day? I go, I've been really productive. And it's like, that's so much better. And she's impressed by that. So I started kind of creating this culture. Even myself, my assistant was on board. I said, I'm not going to use this B word anymore. I tried to add some extra conviction by creating a definition of the word busy. So look at this. It says the state of having misguided activities with unclear goals or purpose, often used as an excuse for not being focused on important priorities. Like this is an insult for productive leaders. So let me tell you, when you or anybody comes up to me and they say, "Oh, Todd, I bet you've been really busy." Here's what I hear them say. I hear them say, "Oh, Todd, I bet you're having misguided activities with unclear goals or purpose, often used as an excuse for not getting important things done." To me, it's an insult. And so I started getting offended when somebody would come up to me and say, "Oh, I bet you've been really busy. You got that office probably business." So I also created a definition just to be more positive about it of productivity, which is a state of getting the right and most important things or results done in an efficient way. So here's what I've noticed. So I'm like doubling down on this commitment that I'm going to stop using the B word. And as I did that, I started noticing, man, everybody around me is always busy. It's like you go up and ask somebody. I mean, think about it. How many times you ever go up and ask somebody, "Oh, how you been?" And their answer is, "Oh, I'm just keeping busy." It's like keeping busy is like that's your goal. It's like busyness is a goal that people have, but it's also what they blame for not achieving their goals. It's like busyness is a trap that people want to be in and they don't want to be in all at the same time. "Hey man, how you doing?" It's like, "I'm just keeping busy." It's like they brag about it. I mean, it started driving me crazy. And then I would go and check my email, and all of a sudden I see one say, "Hey Todd, I know you've been really busy probably, but I was wondering," and I'm like, "How, you don't even know me and you're labeling me as busy?" So I just started deleting. I mean, any email that says, "I bet you've been busy," I delete. I even got rid of voicemail because half the voice messages I received said, "Oh, I bet you're really busy, but I was wondering if you could call me back." So I just started noticing this is a big problem. And I started doubling down. And here's what happened. I noticed my level of productivity went up, way up. I mean, I could catch myself doing busy work and just flip the switch instead of chasing an internet rabbit for an hour, 3 minutes, and I'm back to being productive. And I'm going to put a measurement on it that I became 4 times more productive. It was just unbelievable. And the same thing happened at Office Pride, by the way, when we actually doubled in size my last 5 years, and we didn't increase the size of our corporate staff very much. So everybody just became so much more productive. And I started kind of sharing it with folks. I was sharing it to a small Christian business group, and I was supposed to share some things I had learned over the years. And I just threw this in at the last minute. I said, "Oh, by the way, one thing I stopped doing recently is using the B word." And I explained it to them, and I gave them like this 30-day challenge. Like, who could go 30 days without using the B word? And they took me up on it. And later, as I would see them, I'd say, "Hey, how you doing?" And they'd go, "I've been productive." And so it's like, and then they would share with me, this is like, one guy was a financial advisor. He said, "This has changed my life." He said, "I've doubled my income in 7 months because I quit doing busy work." And so some folks are in a career or a position, especially salespeople, where you could double your income if you were to change this. And we changed the culture at Office Pride. We've helped a lot of businesses change that culture, and it's been a beautiful thing. So I decided to write a book about it. And here's the thing about writing a book. It's like, if you write a book, you want to make sure that what you write in that book is what you think you're going to believe later, because it's already in the book, it's in print. And so I just started thinking about, like, is busy the real problem? And I spent a lot of time like just praying, like, God, what is the real problem? What's the root of busy? It's like, what is it that causes people to be busy? So I started paying attention. And the business owners that I knew, I'd like, these people over here are always busy. And then this group, they don't seem to be as busy, and they're always getting things done. So what's the difference? And I noticed something. I noticed a trend. So I'm like, I'm trying to identify what's the root of busy. And what I discovered is that busyness wasn't the problem. The real problem was unwillingness. Because I would see all these business owners, when it really came down to it, they were unwilling to do what was required to succeed. Therefore, they looked for other things to keep them busy. And then they would blame busyness as the reason for not achieving their goals, because no one will ever admit that they're unwilling. I saw this trend. It was so obvious to me. And so I'm thinking, how do we help people become more willing? Like, I was trying to tackle busyness, but the real problem was this spirit of unwillingness. So in most cases, we set the goals for a reason, but our willingness to achieve them is so weak that we can't overcome distractions. So let me just give you quick little example. It's like 35 years ago or longer, probably, I set a goal. I had a lifetime goal. I want to learn how to speak Spanish. And I wanted to learn how to play the harmonica. Now, specifically, Amazing Grace on the harmonica. You ever see the TV when people sitting around a campfire? There's always this one cool guy that pulls out the harmonica and he starts playing Amazing Grace. Like, I wanted to be that guy. I want to sit around the campfire. I want to play Amazing Grace. And so that was one of my goals. Now, I bought some harmonicas over the years. I have how to speak Spanish books, tapes, everything. But I'm here to tell you, I still don't know how to speak Spanish, and I don't know how to play the harmonica. Now, I could say it's because I've been too busy, but in reality, it's because I just haven't been willing to do what's required to learn these things. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the root problem, is willingness. And even in your business, you wonder why some people don't ever get done what you've asked them to do. There's probably some spirit of just unwillingness there, if they're capable. So what will motivate you to be willing? How do we motivate our people? Well, I'm going to submit, and especially as a business owner, to understand the value of time and compounding productivity. It's like, we understand compounding interest. People have been telling us this for years, right? You invest money now, and then the money makes money, and the interest start making the money. And next thing you know, over a period of time, you got a nice nest egg. Same with productivity. If we can get started earlier in life, being productive, being successful, that success will build on itself. And as you build a business, it even compounds more when you surround yourself with productive people. People not using the B word, right? So another way to get people to be willing is to just do a good job of sharing your vision. Like people want to have clarity and they need clarity. And so I would do this at Office Pride. I had an 8 word vision, and I could describe what each of these: positive impact, perpetual growth, eliminate vulnerabilities, honor God. I could share this with them. I could teach on any of these points. I would put these categories up on top of the whiteboard at the office and ask each person on our team, what can you do to move the needle in each of these areas this year? So we were always talking about the vision and why we do what we do. And that was motivating to people. It helped keep their willingness in check. Now, I know there's other distractions. There's things other than busyness. And I mean, I have like 11 that I write about in this book. I'll give you guys a free copy of the book at the end, excuse me, on PDF. But there's 11 of them that were a problem for me that I write about. But I mean, there's all kinds of things. There's spouse problems, kids, barking dogs, addictions, TV, even things like a to-do list can be a distraction. It's like it just depends on what's on the list, right? And then like email was probably one of the greatest things ever created for us to be productive. But yet, for a lot of people, email is the very thing that keeps you from doing the things that you're supposed to do. It's easy to get on other people's priorities. So there's a lot to this, and I know that everybody struggles with different things. But the key is acknowledge that it exists and build a system of distraction control. And now let's look at the bigger picture of productivity. So if we were to look at our life, for example, and some of you guys have heard what I'm about to share, probably this isn't new, but if you look at somebody's tombstone, they have the day they were born and the day they die. But really, some would argue the most important thing is the dash. And the dash represents what we did with the years that we had on this planet. And we want to make sure that we are about the Father's business, that we're getting the things done that He created us to. So I want to submit to you, do you want to be remembered for the distractions you pursued or the purpose or executing on the purpose for which you were created? So once we determine what's meaningless and meaningful, then distractions actually become more apparent. And I want to submit to you that here's what it looks like. Like distractions and busyness, this is goal and purpose killer. So it's like, just think about them as chains. So I got this chain here, if you guys can see. And but every time it's like God can say, hey, I got a plan for your life. Are you going to follow me? And it's easy for us to say, oh, God, I'm going to follow you, but I got this going on and I got these meetings and I have these commitments and I've got this issue and this problem. And it's like God saying, don't pick those chains up. But we keep picking them up. And it's like we're going through our whole life. And if I was on a stage right now, I had this big chain and I would put it around my neck. I mean, that's how much we pick things up that God never intended for us to pick up that weigh us down. Same in business. We create a goal board, and the goal board's like they're saying, hey, Todd, why did you even set me if you weren't going to try to accomplish me? And I'm like, oh, I'm coming. I've just got all these emails to check, and I've got this Stranger Things is back, and I'm watching episodes of Stranger. So all these things happen, that distractions that we labor issues, and our government shut down, and there's just tons of different things, chains that we pick up and hold on to that slow us down. And so if you really want to grow, scale your business and your kingdom impact, then I encourage you, create a system of distraction control, put the chains down and see what happens. And for the sake of family, for your business, your life, your kingdom, stop using the B word. So I want to encourage all you guys, are you willing to take the 30-day challenge? Like, get people on your team. Hold me accountable. You hold each other accountable. Can you go 30 days without saying the B word? And eventually it'll drive you crazy as you hear so many other people constantly using the word busy. So I just want to encourage you, like right now, Corey, I can't see you, but raise your hands. I'll do it. I'll stop using the B word. Try it. See what happens for 30 days. It'll allow you to build a habit. So I went through all that quickly because, I wanted us to have time for some questions, but this QR code, well, you can download a copy of Stop Using the B Word book, and it's a PDF. And then there's ways to learn more about the workshops and things I do there as well. But this you can have for free, and I'm also available. We got some time, Ken. If you guys want to go and just ask some questions, I'm happy to go deeper on any of those topics.
Todd, this has been phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. I've been taking notes here and so many great comments and takeaways here. Boy, the real problem is the unwillingness, the compounding productivity. That is fantastic to really think about how do we get to that place of compounding productivity. So let me just ask, as you kind of saw that come to life within Office Pride, can you kind of give us a bit of a, like, maybe some practical ways that you saw people really begin to grab onto the concept and you saw compounding productivity in your franchisees or what have you? Like, just any practical, like, what were some realities there around that process of really seeing that come to life?
Yeah, well, it happened in layers. So first, it was me. I was setting an example as a leader, and I was becoming more productive, and my executive assistant as well. And then I shared it with this group of Christian business leaders, and the feedback was so good that I thought, I've got to share this with the Office Pride people. So that actually was the order. So I started casting it to my leadership team, and man, everybody took it serious. I mean, it's like we created this culture. Like if you let the word busy slip out, you could like get your name written on the board with a check mark next to it. I mean, we just didn't let that happen. And then, words have power. I mean, it's when you start thinking about this. And then I did a podcast and I cast this out to the franchisees, and some franchisees embraced it and others may not have listened to the pipe, right? So, I mean, we had some franchisees that embraced it fully. I mean, some franchisees have 200-300 employees. I mean, if you can start to multiply this attitude all the way through the management levels and the end, even to the cleaners, let's be productive. Let's not waste time. Let's don't vacuum if the vacuum's not picking up. Let's change the bag. I mean, all the way through. So it worked. And listen, when COVID hit, we already had this culture of productivity. So we had to go remote for about 3 months because we had a doctor's office in our building, and people were productive. It's like we didn't miss a beat because they already were committed to productivity. And there were some companies that never really got their productivity back after COVID. So that's some examples of how it worked for us.
Yeah. And that comment that you made that just really stood out to me, really resonated, was that, do I want to be remembered for my distractions or do I want to be remembered for my purpose? And so that's just so powerful to think, okay, well, what is it that I am so clearly defined by that people would say when they look at my life, here's what I see. And so that was really powerful. I'm going to be chewing on that for a while. But any thoughts around just, how you, even in the process of, for you, clarifying purpose for team members, how do we help them clarify purpose? Any thoughts around just kind of maybe some step-by-step, what are some strategic ways that we help with moving to that place of saying, let's get out of that distraction zone?
Right. Yeah. So right now I'm working on something. So this is kind of a new thing I'm doing on really, and I'm going to be teaching on this in January. But this is a big thing for me right now. So the most fun thing to talk about is the things that I'm actually learning from God now.
Right. That's great.
I move on quickly. I'm an entrepreneur. So, but right now, here's what it's like. I'm trying to ask God, like, God, what's your vision? See, the problem is we think, what's our vision for the business? But really, like, everything starts with God, and God had a plan, and then now he has a plan for me as part of his plan. And so my job really is to try to see what's the vision God has for me. And it's not God's intent to confuse that vision,
Hmm.
right? I mean, we say,
Right.
I'm trying to figure this out. I can't get clarity on what God wants me to do. Look, the confusion comes as our flesh creeps into our
Hmm.
interpretation of vision.
Wow, that's good.
I mean, it's like I thinking, why am I not clear? I got this little flesh creeping in saying I don't really want to do that.
Hmm.
And I say it's lack of clarity. And it's
Hmm.
probably a lack of obedience. Do
Hmm.
you get it? So
Yeah.
I think to the extent that we're always confused and not getting clarity, then I think it's time that
Hmm.
we instead of challenging God, we challenge our own flesh. Like, where
Hmm.
am I keep letting the fleshly desires creep in? So clarity of vision is key. And then I think the more and more clear we are on it, the easier it is for us to identify distractions. Because I can say, look, because some people say yes to everything. It's like I say no to most everything
Hmm.
because it doesn't fit within
Hmm.
my purpose or my
Hmm.
calling,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
uh, hopefully that
that's really
sheds a
good.
little light on. I'm still
Well,
unpacking this,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Well, it plays in so much. One of the books that's been really meaningful around some of our groups here at FCCI is Terry Luper's Sacred Pace. And you're probably familiar
Mm.
with Terry Luper and Sacred Pace, but just even that concept of purpose versus pace. Like, how do we discern when we've maybe the fast pace of work has shifted from being purpose driven to being driven by the pressure or the fear of falling behind or the fear of not winning or the fear of whatever it is, but that we've kind of replaced purpose for pace. Any thoughts around that?
My first thought is I need to read that book. I mean, I haven't, but I have heard of that, and
Mm,
I should get that and read it. But I agree. I mean,
mm,
listen, God will give us the time
mm,
to accomplish everything He's called us to do. I mean, God has the ability to supernaturally extend our effective use of time. So, to the extent that
mm.
we feel like we have to try to hurry up to get things done, that should already be a hint that we're off pace or out of God's will a little bit, right? So, here's the tough part. Probably most people on this call, if you're business owners, if you're on this and you're watching this, you're probably a high achiever. You feel comfortable with control, but the ultimate success is going to come with our ability to yield control. I mean, it's easier said than done. And it's really hard for entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs and business owners, we started a business because we wanted to be in control, right? I mean, and now it's like to yield that very thing to
Mm.
Almighty God, it's a hard thing to do.
It
A lot of
really is.
people will say it, and it's like a roller coaster, really, for the ones who are doing it on any
Mm.
given day or hour. We're yielding or not yielding.
And that really ties into, yeah, as I've been reading your book, you talked about even your weekend practices, what you do on the weekend, not checking
Mhm.
emails, shutting things down, and even that how that speaks to Sabbath and trust in God, to what you were just saying, am I willing to trust that God's got it? I can rest in the downtime because
Yeah.
God's in control. So any thoughts around that? Just even how that you talked about at one point in the book, I remember you saying you figured out that because you rested well, you actually got a whole lot. You were so much more productive in the other 5 days of the week.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately it comes down to, do we really trust
Hmm.
God's better than we are?
Hmm.
I know. I mean, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what? I
I
can't
know,
believe somebody
right?
said that out loud. But
Yeah.
but you know, at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day,
That's so true.
so easy to say we trust God, trust God with most of it, but just in case, I'm going to like put these few things in place. I mean, now we have to do our part, right? It's like God equips us. Like somebody said, I'm going to trust one of my franchisees. I'm just going to trust God to bring me customers. I'm like, well, God gave you the ability to go out and sell. He gave you a system. He gave you brochures. I think you better go out and do your part, right? And then pray for God's favor as you do that. So I think there's a misuse of this word trust.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, um, I, can we grow in our comfort level?
Mm-hmm.
of truly yielding to the Father.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Easier said than done,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
certainly it's our experiences, and then we can learn from experiences that others
Hmm.
share that can build our confidence with that.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was reminded of a sermon series from when I had just finished my college degree program. I was at my first church appointment in the western suburbs of Chicago, and the pastor was teaching on the difference between belief and faith. And it's
Mm,
stuck with me, the fact that you can say, yeah, I believe that, I think that, I want that. But then faith is that, will I activate on that belief? Will I take action on the belief? You say, well, I believe it.
yeah,
Will I take action on the belief? And that when we read scripture, we see that by faith, Moses, by faith, down the line. Well, what did they do? They did something, right? They took action. They were obedient. So that whole, can I be productive? Will God bring me those clients? Will I get the customers? Well, yes, as you take action and do the things and trust, let God
yeah,
then work. But you have a part to play. And I love that about the
yeah.
kingdom.
And actions should follow belief. So,
Mm,
there's a lot of good business
mm,
teaching on that. Um, and so it could be, to the extent it's not, there could be a slight doubt in our belief.
mm,
And that's
mm-hmm.
then prompts some other action.
Yeah.
So, um, that's what I like about self-reflecting. That's what I like about thinking.
Mm,
Stop and think,
mm,
ask questions. We've come up with a list of not just strategic thinking questions, but critical thinking, but then also eternal thinking
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And like when you start doing your business plan and you create all this stuff, stop and look at it and put it before the Father, like King Hezekiah
Mm,
would lay the letters down before God and say, "It is true. We've got problems here, but lay that business plan down and just ask God, what am I missing?"
mm,
And somebody asked me this one time. They said, "What do you think is the most important question we can ask God?" And I said, "One of the most important questions is, what am I missing?" I
mm,
mean, um, so try that
mm.
and listen,
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
what happens.
That's so good. And as you're talking about, productivity, work in the kingdom, I know this is a conversation that you probably have on a regular basis, but just to flesh out, do we define productivity by output and outcomes, obedience? Kind of how do you frame that up in this conversation of saying, let's not be busy, let's be productive? And what are we talking about? What are we looking for to define kind of what is it, that output? Is it how do we define that productive work
Oh,
in
that's a
that
good question.
sense?
I would say at minimum, you're on the path that leads to what it is you're trying to accomplish. Like, is this in alignment with me achieving the business goals? Okay, I'm being productive. I'm moving the
Mm,
needle. I'm not, on a distraction. I haven't
mm,
taken an exit off the
mm.
highway, right?
That's
And
good. Yeah.
same way spiritually.
Mm,
Is this in alignment with what God's called me to do? Well, then, yeah, I probably am being productive as opposed to just completely distracted. So that's kind of the way now you can measure productivity, obviously, in business lots of different ways. So there's ways to add numbers to this. But at the end of the day, if you spend a whole year and you haven't moved yourself toward what you began that year to set out to accomplish, then maybe you haven't been productive. Or, maybe something has happened, but then we
mm-hmm,
just have to step back and think about how do
mm.
we handle that obstacle so that we are productive this year. Um,
That's
I
great.
think you have
Yeah.
to measure it, Ken,
Mm-hmm.
and it needs to be
Yeah.
front and center.
Yeah.
And because we don't want to get to end of oh, by the way, first question I think people ask when they get to heaven, what was I thinking? I
Mm-hmm.
really, I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
do so much here, and we get to heaven. What was I thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I
Yeah.
think asking God, what am I missing,
Mm,
and hopefully, we get to heaven, or at least when we get to the end of our life and we reflect back, we can say, you know what, I did my
mm-hmm.
productive best to be who God created me to be, both in business and personal life. spiritual, everything.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Well, as we wrap up here, any, and I know you mentioned there's the PDF, so I'll put that up here at the end, folks. So you'll be able to, if you miss scanning that QR code, you'll be able to do that here in just a moment. But yeah, any thoughts around, anything else that you'd like to share with folks? Opportunities to engage with what you're doing, Strategic Thinking Network.
Yeah, I'd love to invite you to, of course, download a copy of the B Word book, but check us out. I mean, I do, Ken, I do one-on-one CEO
Mm,
coaching. So I'll go deep with one
that's great. Yeah,
CEO and just
sure.
help them think. So it's not a program. It's let me help you think
Mm-hmm.
and about whatever it is that you're going through. So I'll become an extension of their brain. I really enjoy doing that. I love to talk to anybody about that. And then also just this workshop
Mm-hmm.
is the strategicthinkingnetwork.com is where that's at. And
That's
we
great.
have a few spots still for next year's class. So I'm trying to finish filling that up, and that's it. I mean, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I feel like Office Pride was 30 years, and Office Pride was a training ground for
Mm,
this. And as I'm being able now to just get to know so many more people and
sure.
spend time with leaders of these organizations. So I
Well,
love to hear from anybody.
yeah.
Feel free to reach out, and all my contact information is going to be on that website.
That's great. Well, Todd, on behalf of all of us, thank you for what you're doing, the investment you're making, pouring into others, taking that 30 years and reinvesting, re-upping, and saying, hey, God, what's next? Thanks for doing that. We really are so grateful. Great example. And I'm so thankful for the fact that we're on this kingdom journey together. So thanks for being
Amen.
a great partner in all of that. So blessings on you. Have a wonderful Christmas season and enjoy the holidays with family.
You
Thanks,
too.
Todd.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everybody, for having me.
Thanks all. Have a wonderful rest of your day.